Welcome back, Ghost Dreamers. Today we're diving into the Conjuring The Last Rites 2025, a spine-chilling story of the Warrens' final case. Before we dive into the creepy details, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more spine-tingling recaps. All right, turn down the lights. It's time to meet The Conjuring The Last Rites. The movie begins in 1964 when a young Ed and Lorraine Warren visit an antique shop to check on a troubled young woman. She tells them her father used to feel strange presences in the shop. Every night he would lock the doors, but by morning they'd be wide open again. Soon he started hearing voices. At first she thought he was just getting old, until one day she found him hanging dead inside his store. After his death,
this really strong feeling like I'm being watched.
She tells the Warrens that something in the shop calls to her whenever she's alone. Lorraine listens carefully. At that time, she's pregnant, but decides to investigate the storeroom despite Ed's warning that he has a bad feeling about the place. Holding a crucifix tightly, Lorraine walks up to a large antique mirror and introduces herself, saying she's there to help the spirit. But behind Lorraine, a hanging figure suddenly appears. When she turns around, no one is there. She touches the mirror, and it cracks. Suddenly, her reflection smiles back at her, and Lorraine is hit by terrifying visions that send her into painful labor. Ed rushes Lorraine straight to the hospital. When they arrive, Lorraine is quickly taken to the delivery room. But in the middle of labor, the power suddenly cuts out. Lorraine felt an evil presence nearby, and when she looked up, she saw a dark shadow slowly sliding down from the ceiling. Terrified, she begged Ed, no matter what happens, don't let anything happen to the baby. Ed doesn't understand what she means, until the birth takes a terrifying turn. The umbilical cord is wrapped tightly around the baby's neck. Doctors struggle desperately to save her, but the baby is born still and silent. Heartbroken, Lorraine begins to cry and begs to hold her lifeless child. Lorraine broke down in tears, holding her lifeless child and praying with all her heart. Moments later, the room fills with a faint cry. The baby is alive. Relieved and shaken, Lorraine smiles weakly and tells the doctors her name is Judy Warren. A short montage shows Ed and Lorraine raising their daughter, Judy. One day, a frightened Judy runs to her mother, saying she's been seeing spirits. Lorraine gently comforts her and teaches her a rhyme called Lucy Locket, a simple chant meant to protect her from evil spirits. Judy then asks, "What if I can't make them go away?" Lorraine smiles softly and tells her, "You can, sweetheart. It's your choice." The scene shifts to 1986, West Pittston, Pennsylvania, where we meet the Smurl family. Jack, his wife Janet, Jack's parents John and Mary, and their daughters Heather, Dawn, Shannon, and Karen. The family is celebrating Heather's confirmation at home. As a gift, her grandparents give her an antique mirror, the same one the Warrens had once encountered. After opening the gift, their dog Simon starts barking at the mirror nonstop, and even Heather feels uneasy about it, noticing a small crack on the surface. Her grandparents mention they found it at a swap meet in Bucks County and promised to fix the crack mirror. As Heather prepares to blow out the candle on her cake, the flame suddenly goes out on its own. She assumes her sister Dawn did it, but Dawn denies it. Before anyone can react, a light fixture from the ceiling crashes down onto the table, cutting Heather on the forehead. After decades of investigating the paranormal, Ed and Lorraine Warren believed they had seen it all, but the Smurl family case in Pennsylvania would be the one that ended their careers. In the next scene, Ed and Lorraine are giving a lecture at a university about the Annabelle case. Their daughter, Judy, sits in the audience, quietly listening. During the Q&A, a student asks why they stopped taking new cases. Lorraine smiles and says they're focusing on other parts of their lives now. But two boys in the crowd start mocking them, making fun of their work. Later, the family goes out for dinner. While chatting, Ed admits he feels people don't really listen to them anymore. They just wait for a punchline. Judy suggests they should have been honest during the lecture, saying they took a break because of Ed's heart condition. But Ed brushes it off, saying that would just sound like an excuse, and insists they're only on hiatus until the doctor clears him. Lorraine doesn't look happy with his response. To change the mood, Judy mentions her dad's upcoming birthday and casually says she's bringing her boyfriend, Tony. Ed doesn't seem too pleased about that. Suddenly, Lorraine notices Judy softly whispers the Lucy Locket rhyme to herself, and Lorraine joins in. But moments later, Lorraine freezes. She sees a hand resting on Judy's shoulder. Startled, she gasps. When Ed asks what's wrong, she says she's fine, but Judy can see the fear in her mother's eyes. Back at the Smurl family home, Janet heads down to the basement to do some laundry. As she's sorting clothes, she suddenly hears someone softly calling her name. Startled, she turns on the light, but no one's there. Thinking it's just her imagination, she brushes it off. Later that day, Janet is on the landline phone when the cord suddenly gets yanked out of her hand and pulled into the dark pantry. At first, she assumes it's the younger girls playing a prank, but when she finds them playing in the house, then Jane slowly walks toward the pantry and turns on the light, only to find no one but only the phone inside. Janet freezes in shock and fear. Later, Shannon plays with her doll. She puts it on the floor for a second, but Shannon finds the doll was missing. She finds it in another room and sees it moving on its own. Suddenly, the doll lifts off the ground and floats in midair. Behind it, a terrifying, creepy old woman appears, smiling at her. Shannon screams and runs away. Later that night, Heather tells Dawn that it feels weird, like the 3 babies on the mirror are always watching her. Dawn suggests throwing it away since tomorrow is trash day, so both sisters carry the mirror outside and leave it on the street. The next morning, the garbage men pick it up, but when the mirror crashes inside the truck, Dawn suddenly gets sick and starts vomiting blood and pieces of glass. She is rushed to the hospital immediately, and Heather panics when she sees pieces of glass in the sink. The scene shifts to Ed visiting his doctor, who warns him about his heart and the risk of another heart attack. Later, Ed returns home where Lorraine is hosting his birthday party. Judy arrives with her boyfriend, Tony Spera, whom she's been dating for 6 months. Father Gordon is also there, and Judy introduces Tony to him. During their conversation, we learn that Tony used to be a police officer but has since retired. After a while, Judy goes to her room and looks through some old photos. Suddenly, she feels a strange presence. She looks in the mirror and sees the Annabelle doll rocking in the chair. Terrified, Judy starts singing the Lucy Locket rhyme to calm herself. When she looks back, the doll is gone. Just then, Tony knocks on the door and asks if she's okay. Judy tells him it's a trick her mom taught her to face whatever she sees, and that she sings the rhyme whenever she feels scared. Tony smiles and gives her a quick kiss, but suddenly, Lorraine walks in. Lorraine tells Tony that Ed is waiting for him in the garage with the other guests and invites him to join. Once Tony leaves, Lorraine talks to Judy and asks if she's been seeing spirits more often. She gently tells Judy to shut it out because she doesn't want her daughter to go through what she went through. But Judy says she can handle it. Later, Tony approaches Ed and Lorraine to ask for their blessing to marry Judy. Lorraine is happy, but Ed thinks it's too early. However, when Judy notices the ring and realizes what's happening, Ed agrees and gives his approval. Tony proposes, and Judy happily says yes. As the party ends, Father Gordon comes to the Warrens and tells them a family needs help with an urgent case, but because of Ed's weak heart, they decide not to take it. Meanwhile, back at the haunted house, the girls become increasingly terrified and beg to leave, but their father, Jack, doesn't believe them. Hours later, he sees the bedroom door slowly creak open. A demonic female figure appears, staring him down, and lifts him into the air. In the mirror, the female ghost appears to sit on him. Meanwhile, Heather watches a video from her party and pauses it, noticing a demonic face blowing out her candles. Suddenly, she sees the ghost of an axe-wielding man trying to attack her. Hearing Heather scream, Janet wakes up and finds her husband levitating. The family soon discovers Heather curled up in the living room, terrified. Now Jack finally believes the house is haunted. The Smurls share their story with the press, and soon news of their haunting spreads everywhere. Meanwhile, Judy and Lorraine visit a boutique to find the perfect wedding dress. The store lady guides her into a fitting room surrounded by mirrors. Judy tries on a beautiful white gown. After helping her adjust the dress, the store lady steps out for a moment. As Judy bends down to fix the gown, she notices that one of her reflections isn't moving. Suddenly, she feels someone adjusting her dress. Thinking it's the seamstress, she looks down and sees a deformed old woman crouching beneath the gown. Terrified, Judy starts singing the Lucy Locket rhyme and calls out for her mother. The old woman crawls closer, but then the lights flicker on and everything seems normal again. Moments later, Judy's own reflection suddenly cracks through the mirror and grabs her by the neck. Just then, Lorraine and the store lady rush in to find Judy on the floor, trembling in fear. Meanwhile, at the Smurl house, the grandmother is rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. Father Gordon, a close friend of the Warrens, arrives looking worried. Janet, crying, explains that something unseen pushed her mother-in-law down the stairs. The family is terrified, and Gordon decides to bless the house. He begins the blessing, but when he reaches the basement, the holy water starts to boil and evaporate on its own. Shocked and scared, Gordon rushes out, realizing this evil is far stronger than he expected. He decides to report it to the church immediately. At the church, he tries to meet Bishop McKenna, but a secretary asks him to wait while she informs the bishop. Gordon insists it's urgent. The Smurl family is in danger. While waiting, His nose suddenly starts to bleed. He then notices an electrical cable nearby slowly moving by itself. When he looks back, the secretary is gone. The phone on the desk starts ringing. When Gordon answers, he hears Judy's voice telling him he can go now. Suddenly, a nearby door creaks open, and Gordon senses an evil presence. When he tries to leave, the entry door slams shut. Terrified, he pulls out his crucifix and begins to pray, but the cross bursts into flames, burning his hands. Panicked and surrounded by darkness, Gordon grabs the dangling cable, and under the control of the dark force, he hangs himself. Soon, the Warrens learn about Father Gordon's death and are heartbroken. At his funeral, Judy gently touches his casket and feels something strange. As the family prepares to leave, a priest named Father Sigler approaches the Warrens, explaining that Gordon often spoke highly of their work. Curious, Judy asks where Father Gordon died, and the priest tells her it happened in Pennsylvania. In the next scene, Lorraine is washing dishes when the sink suddenly clogs. When she reaches in to clear it, she pulls out a locket with Judy's photo inside. At that moment, the water in the sink turns blood and begins to overflow. Shocked, Lorraine stumbles back as Ed rushes to her side. Lorraine instantly realizes that something terrible has happened to Judy. Just then, Tony arrives, confirming their worst fear. Judy has gone alone to Pennsylvania to investigate the Smurl haunting. Horrified, Ed, Lorraine, and Tony quickly set out to find her. As soon as the Warrens arrive at the Smurl house, Lorraine senses a dark presence the moment she steps inside. That's when Judy appears, explaining she came because she discovered Father Gordon had visited the house before his death. Her parents beg her to leave, worried for her safety, but Judy refuses. She reminds them that they've never walked away from a case before. Seeing her determination, Ed and Lorraine finally agree to help Smurl family, while the Warrens sit with the Smurl family, listening to their haunting story. Then Judy quietly tells Tony about one of her visions, the moment Father Gordon died. But she also feels something darker waiting for her. Later, as Tony helps Ed make pancakes, he opens up about why he really left his job. He explains they were called to a domestic violence case. When he entered the house and found a man aiming a shotgun straight at him, the man pulled the trigger, but the gun didn't fire. When the weapon was tested later, it turned out to be fully loaded and should have gone off. Ever since, Tony's been haunted by the thought that somewhere out there is another world where he died that day, where he never met Judy, never married, never had a future. That fear pushed him to quit his job the very next day, and in that same moment, he decided to buy the ring, choosing life and Judy instead. Later, Judy tells her mom that she's never seen them work on a case so closely until now. While they talk, both sense something upstairs. Lorraine tells Judy to stay downstairs and goes to check. She inspects the upstairs and the basement. When she comes back outside, she explains to Ed what she discovered. There are 3 spirits in the house. They aren't tied to the home itself, but to the land it stands on. Long ago, it was farmland where a woman had an affair. When her husband found out, he went mad. The wife tried to hide in the basement with her mother, but he found them and killed them both with an axe. Lorraine says she also feels something darker, a powerful force controlling those spirits and using them against the Smurl family. Inside the house, Judy hears her mother's voice calling, so she rushes upstairs to the attic. There, she finds the cursed mirror and steps closer to inspect a crack in the glass. When she reaches out her hand, nothing happens. Suddenly, a piece of chalk drops to the floor. As she shines her flashlight, words begin to appear on the wall. "Miss me?" Thinking it's Annabelle, Judy panics and runs. But then she hears one of the Smurl girls calling her name and follows the voice into a room. Inside, she sees a doll that looks like Annabelle, only now it's growing larger and larger, towering over her. The massive doll lunges forward, chasing her through the house. Terrified, Judy runs until she falls down the stairs. Her parents rush to her side, and Judy warns them that something is in the attic. The Warrens head to the attic. Ed and Lorraine are shocked to recognize the mirror from their very first case. Lorraine steps closer, touches the mirror, and tells Ed that something about it feels different now. They explain to the Smurls their connection to the mirror and how it's tied to Judy's birth. Dawn then tells them how she and her sister got rid of it, insisting it makes no sense for it to be back. Lorraine replies that it's not that simple to get rid of such an object. When the Smurls ask what happened to the woman who owned the antique shop, the Warrens admit they don't know. They never went back. Ed explains that at the time, they were young and inexperienced, and that was their very first encounter with something truly supernatural. Determined to make things right, the Warrens agree to help the Smurls from the evil in their home. The Warrens decide to take the mirror back with them to keep it locked away safely in their cursed artifacts room. Ed and Jack cover the mirror and start moving it downstairs while Lorraine stays close to Judy. Suddenly, Judy's nose starts bleeding. At that exact moment, the bindings around the mirror begin to snap one by one, on until it's fully exposed. Jack accidentally glances toward the glass, but Ed yells for him not to look. Startled, Jack stumbles and falls down the stairs. Ed tries to catch the mirror to stop it from crashing onto Jack, but it becomes impossibly heavy, slipping from his grasp and landing on Jack's foot, crushing it. Meanwhile, Tony starts his car and drives toward the Smurl's home. But on the way, he comes face to face with the ghost of the old woman. Terrified, he loses control of the vehicle and crashes. Luckily, he survives, with only minor injuries. Back inside the house, the power goes out. Lorraine rushes to find Judy and discovers her sitting in a corner, softly singing the Lucy Locket rhyme. Then, in a voice that isn't her own,
Mommy? Judy.
We've been waiting so patiently for little Judy to come back to us.
the possessed Judy crawls toward her and violently shoves her into the basement. Now fully possessed, Judy begins terrorizing everyone in the house. Ed tries to reach her, calling out to his daughter, but the demon strikes back and triggering a heart attack. Ed collapses on the stairs as Judy slowly turns and begins making her way toward the attic. Outside, Tony sees everything through the window but can't get inside. The doors won't budge. Desperate, he runs to the back of the house, searching for another way in. Meanwhile, in the basement, Lorraine sees the Axeman ghost entering. Panicked, she hides but comes face to face with the spirit of the woman. Before she can react, the Axeman attacks the woman's ghost, then turns his rage toward Lorraine. Just as he's about to strike, Tony bursts in and opens the basement door, instantly making everything return to normal. Inside the house, Ed manages to take his pills, struggling to catch his breath. He tells the Smurls to get out immediately. Moments later, Lorraine and Tony find him. Lorraine tells Ed that the demon has always been after Judy from the beginning. Realizing the danger, Ed instructs Lorraine to bring the sacred book. Together, the Warrens and Tony rush to the attic, only to find Judy hanging from a rope. Horrified, they race to free her, but the old attic floor is on the edge of collapse. Time runs out, and Judy loses all signs of life. Desperate, they cut the rope, crashing to the floor with her and frantically trying to revive her. As they fight to save her, Lorraine catches her reflection in the cursed mirror, coming face to face with the demonic presence itself. After a painful effort, Judy suddenly gasps for air, alive again. At that exact moment, the mirror lifted into the air, spinning violently. Ed continues to read from the Bible, trying to exorcise the demon, but the mirror flies closer towards them, pinning Tony to the floor.
Shut your mouth!
Suddenly, the Bible catches fire in Ed's hands. Without hesitation, he presses the burning Bible against the mirror, and the demon lets out a painful scream. Lorraine turns to Judy and reminds her not to run, but to face it. Together, Lorraine and Judy place their hands on the mirror, joining Ed in resisting the evil force. The mirror starts to crack, spreading cracks all over its surface. With courage in her voice, Judy looks straight into the mirror and says firmly to the entity, "You're not there." The demon screeches in agony as the mirror shatters into pieces, ending the haunting once and for all. The following morning, the Warrens bid the Smurls farewell. Tony helps Ed carry the broken mirror into their museum of haunted artifacts. Later, Judy and Tony get married. Among the guests are people whom the Warrens have helped over the years. During the reception, Ed and Lorraine share a slow dance together. Lorraine smiles and tells Ed about a vision she had of their future, one where they are grandparents, still helping people and doing God's work. Ed smiles and says it sounds perfect. The ending, as the Smurl family continued to live in their home for another 3 years. Ed and Lorraine Warren were married for over 6 decades until at the age of 74, Ed suffered a massive stroke, though he was revived but remains immobile. Lorraine cared for him until his death after 5 years in 2006. Lorraine never remarried and passed away in 2019. Though their research was often doubted by the scientific community, the Warrens are remembered as pioneers in their field, and the movie ends. And that wraps up The Conjuring: The Last Rites. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling movie stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.